"We are moving," Jackie shouted at him. Tom had just about registered the need to get back when she had yanked him off his feet and bolted with him over her shoulder. Looking back, he saw Saf desperately pulling on Fengi, her feet digging in deep. Esmeralda was rushing to her aid, Rachuk putting himself between them and Yrrol, shield raised for all the good that would do. Glera fought to keep the screaming Yrrol down, which was clearly easier said than done. The Black Dragon had broken just about every brace they had put on her. Her tail thrashed around wild until a deafening crack snapped the end off, to Top's astonishment. "The fuck is going on?" he asked himself, as Jackie put some distance between them and Yrrol. The screaming was high-pitched and unnatural, like nails on a blackboard, mixed with the howling of a wounded dog. Tom already had a mean migraine, though it felt like it wasn't just the screams causing it. It was a familiar pain, like the headache that damned unicorn had given him back at their first meeting. Then, as abruptly as it had started, the light faded from Fengi, as she fell into Saf and Essie's arms, Yrrol too going limp under Glera's weight. The scream turning into a whimper, then mewling as Tom tapped on Jackie's back. "Slow down, I think that's it." "You sure?" Jackie asked as she slowed down, turning to look for herself. "Like, completely sure?" "I have no fucking clue," Tom admitted, as she put him down, though she didn't let go as she moved behind him instead. "What the fuck was that?" Tom asked Lingosa, who was already walking back towards the dragon, having bolted too. "Was that fucking Celestine?" I think so," the maid stuttered, seeming utterly dumbstruck as she stared at Saf and Fengi. "How is that possible?" "Blessed be her holiness, I guess," Jackie added, as Tom cautiously started walking back up towards Fengi. Saf and Essie had started carrying her to a safe distance, Junora still clutching Fengi's chest. "I swear to God, gods or whatever, if that Pope horse hurt the kid doing this," Tom caught himself thinking as he quickened his pace. After a bit of resistance, Jackie let him, following close behind. Walking up, Fengi was already stirring, Junora crying her heart out as Saf pried the kid off of Fengi and tried to console her as best she could. "Is she breathing?" Rachuk had asked, not having left his shielding position. "She's still with us. How are you feeling, Fengi?" Essie asked, as she held the young woman's head. "Pretty rough, not going to lie. I might like carrots now," Fengi replied, staring up at the sky with a serene expression on her face. "What's a carrot?" "I don't know," Fengi replied, seeming totally serious. "A vegetable. It's like an orange stick?" Tom added, raising an eyebrow. "Have you got some?" No. There are some in the vegetable garden, though." "Awesome, I want one." "We'll get you a carrot. Do you know what happened?" Essie asked, still cradling Fengi's head, moving to put it in her lap instead and starting to stroke the Huntress's face. "It hurt a lot. Then it all got a little weird." "Could you be more specific?" Lingosa questioned, also kneeling down next to her, already scribbling away. "Not really. I wasn't me." "Did you see any image flash? Maybe emotions that weren't yours?" "I was angry. Very angry. And I heard birdsong." "No birds out here, that's for sure. Think she snapped?" Jackie questioned, looking around for any possible stray birds. "Jackie!" Essie snapped. Jackie raised her hands defensively. "What? We just saw her glowing like crazy. Apparently Celestine talking through her in a drill just got her mind spanked. I say she just tried sharing her mind with a unicorn." "It's incredible," Lingosa added, the pen still working furiously. "I've heard of people sharing thoughts, and mind readers can get some of the same effect at times. You just try getting mind melded?" she continued, not seeming quite sure about the word. "Yeah, let's go with that for the time being. Mind melded with a unicorn." "And she liked you," Esty added, while caressing Fengi's cheek. "And she had a sentence to pass down," Major Jordan added, having walked up next to Rachuk's hand, blade drawn and looking at a drill. "Decent work, old girl. A little slow in the uptake." "Dragons can get surprised too, you know," Glera replied, the blue dragon clearly keeping very close tabs on her drill right now. The black dragon was by now full-on bawling into the grass, a trickle of acid coming out the sides of her mouth. "Never seen that before. Did you see her tail?" "I did. Colk, mind fetching the tip?" "Sir, yes, sir," came the quick reply, as Colk trotted off to fetch the lost piece. "She's in poor shape now, boss," Glera added, as she inspected the drill in greater detail. "She ruined all our good work." "Then we start over. Can you stand?" the Major asked, looking behind him to Fengi. "I would rather not," came the meek reply as Essie kept stroking her face. Junora had calmed down a bit, and was by now merely sobbing into Sapphire's shoulder, also receiving caring strokes. "Then simply stay put," the Major said with a kind smile, before looking at the rest of them. "To work, people. I want that one alive. If nothing else, the Inquisition will want her now, that's for damn sure. Stop the bleeding. Glera, pin her like an oared-up green trying to sneak a snack. You got it, boss. Fucking hell, here we go, Tom went to himself as he felt Jackie draw him in a bit closer. You are staying with me for this part? Yes, ma'am, he replied with a chuckle. It wasn't like this was funny or anything, but fuck him if he knew what to make of it. I want to try sitting up. Fengi had quietly stated after a few minutes of staring at the sky. She'd been given water, some trail mix, and what was left of the candy they had used for Jinora. It was pretty clear this had taken its toll on Fengi, if she hadn't passed out this time. Lingosa believed it to be due to her not having been the source of the energy for the effect, whatever it might have been. Yrrol, for her part, hadn't moved a muscle willingly or otherwise since the event. She was just lying there, crying. A several hundred-year-old black dragon, a veteran of both slave labour and likely quite a few battles. She was crying like a little girl, and had been at it for minutes by now. It did at least mean she hadn't resisted their attempts to fix her up once again. She did whimper in pain when something particularly nasty was done, but she didn't fight it. Nor could they get any kind of proper response out of her. Feeling dizzy or anything? Lingosa asked. Sav, noting Cog, was paying very close attention right now. No, just sore and tired, Finger replied, sounding exactly as spent as she looked. When you can manage it, maybe you should try giving Yrrol a command, Lingosa added, seeming to have finally concluded her note-taking. Just maybe a few more minutes. It might drain her even more. I wouldn't try it, Essie added, clearly very concerned. And Yrrol isn't doing anything right now anyway. Saf just nodded as she kept stroking Jinora. And by the sounds of it, Jinora's just fine. Scared, but fine. Sorry, this is just very exciting. Can you still hear or feel Celesting in any way? Lingosa asked, eagerness clearly not dampened by either crying kids or dragons. And here we thought the Academy might temper you a bit. Oh, we were fools. Saf sighed to herself, glaring at the young mage. Don't think so. Not hearing voices or anything, if that's what you mean. Okay, then. Not lingering, Lingosa muttered to herself, as she wrote a bit more. What about Yrrol? Nothing, Fengi just replied flatly, after a brief pause to think. Maybe just let her rest. Go look at some of the fascinating injuries Yrrol's just acquired. Surely that's worth your time? Essie said, with just a hint of sternness in her voice, as she glared at the mage before turning back to look down at Fengi. Just you relax, okay? You did amazing today already. Thanks, Fengi replied with a sigh. I don't have to do it again, right? No, you don't, Essie chuckled with a warm smile. Just rest. We will take care of the rest. Saf just nodded her assent to that part, still clutching a trembling Jinora. I think we should take the little one home. She needs her friends. I told you we should have tried the horn first, Richard grumbled, his concern seemingly having failed to leave him. And then we wouldn't have gone to see whatever that was. Do you have any idea what we just saw? If Kullinga was here, we'd be prying him off the ground because he wouldn't stop praying, Lingosa replied incredulously. We just saw a unicorn take over. Not just the kid she saved, but the person holding her too. Yes, because we put said kid in danger. She wasn't in any danger, she just thought she was, Jordan added. A drill couldn't reach her, Clearer did her job. Quite the gamble, don't you think? Richard retorted, turning his attention to Jordan instead. With a child of less than 2. You two, stop your shouting, Saf snapped in a more hushed tone, as Jinora ducked back under her armpit, sniffling once more. I'm taking her home, and you go sort that out someplace else. It isn't fair to Fengi either. Rachuk just grumbled a bit before looking to the Major, who gave Saf a courteous nod before walking off, gesturing for Rachuk to follow. Saf had continued to calm the little one before sitting down next to Fengi. You want to say hi to Fengi? She's alright too, she tried in the warmest, most caring voice she could manage. Jinora did peek out from her little hiding spot to look up at Fengi, who in turn just smiled weakly. I'm okay, don't worry. Jinora didn't look particularly happy, eyes once more tearing up, though she did reach out for Fengi. Saf put the kid in Fengi's lap, Jinora hugging the young huntress, tears still in her eyes. It's okay, I'm fine. You are such a brave little girl, Fengi crooned, patting Jinora on the back before clutching her slightly. Such a good girl. I think Jim might need to get back with the other kids, Essie added, watching the interaction. This has clearly been a lot. Maybe entrust her back with Lothal. She likes him a lot. Not a bad idea, Saf replied, nodding before getting up. And you need rest too, Saf. You still look like that's painful. It is, Saf reiterated with a shrug. All the more reason. She needs it too, Saf replied, giving Fengi a pat on the back. We'll get a tent or something and make do. Couldn't you stay, Saf? Fengi tried in a meek voice. Just in case I need someone scared off? Huh. You don't think Essie can manage that? She's getting the tent. You shouldn't be hauling looking like that, Fengi replied, turning to Essie instead with pleading eyes. Essie didn't look convinced before Fengi laid her hand on Essie's side, looking up at her. Please, also, I'm not using magic, she let out after realising what she had just done. Essie just smiled warmly, caressing her face. I know. Fine. I'll get a tent for you and take Janora back. I think we can get away with borrowing Tom's for now. I'll send Unkai too. If nothing else, he might fix up Saf a little. Fengi just nodded slightly, before looking at Saf. Hey, I'm not leaving you if that's what you're scared of. Saf chuckled, giving Fengi a bit of a side hug before turning down to Janora. Okay. You're going with Essie now. Can you say Essie? Esky, Janora went, looking up, still with tears in her eyes. Aww, Saf let out involuntarily, as she picked the kid up, giving her a bump with her snout before handing Janora off to Essie. Be a good girl now. We'll be back tomorrow, I hope. Sappy. Aww. It had certainly been yet another eventful day, as Tom sat staring at the flames of the fire they'd used to cook some dinner. Glira had not left Yrrol ever since the incident, but Jackie and a few of the others had managed to go to the dumping site and at least salvage a little of the meat. So tonight's menu was this strange, colourful goose and some completely brown and green-coloured ducks, with only some bread on the side. Fengi was sleeping like a rock inside his old tent along with Sapphire. Essie and Unkai were inside, keeping an eye on them. Tom knew the old woman cared a lot for Fengi, but it probably helped that the position came with a warm sleeping bag too. And Unkai had apparently been spared to help Saf a little more. Tom had to admit she had to be a damn tough bastard after the bandages were taken off, so Unkai could work his magic. She had looked lucky to still have both of her eyes. She had caught him staring too, looking away and not seeming too happy with the situation. Jackie being right on point though, cracking jokes at Sapphire's expense, much to Tom's dismay. His surprise had been equal when Saf cracked a smile at it, and started firing back about Jackie's slightly wounded arm. Now though, it was just Jackie, Jordan, and himself around the fire, not counting a few of Glira's crew who were more busy tending to Yrrol than Glira herself. She'd done a few scratches after all, and they did need at least cleaning. Well, you got your camping trip? Jackie goaded him as she munched down on a goose leg. I guess so. At least Yrrol stopped crying.
She's sleeping,
Jordan added, taking a bite of his own dinner.
God knows she needs it.
Feeling sorry for a traitorous mercenary? Jackie questioned with slight amusement in her voice.
If she doesn't live, we won't know what was done to her.
Oh, Jackie replied, with what Tom knew was genuine surprise. Guess I don't need to ask if that whole thing was normal, Tom asked, looking up at the Major.
Never seen nor heard of it. I've heard tales of a unicorn forcing someone to act against their will, or passing down cruel judgments and punishments, as well as great boons. But never through someone else, let alone two. And an enchantment at that. This may never have happened before.
So you mean a Sodai around here? Jackie joked with a cocky grin, one which the Major did respond to with a chuckle.
It is certainly far from a normal place, this keep. Once this is all over and done, there will be many good tales to be told.
We can do more than make tales. Though if you're into that business, you know who needs to be mentioned.
Jackalope, Long Dragon Slayer, the Major chuckled in reply. I reckon you can earn a free drink or two with that story.
I've always wanted to do that. Have a story that's mine, Jackie replied with a genuine smile on her face, as Tom turned to look at her. I think you've gone quite a few by now, he chuckled, receiving a confused look from Jackie, which soon turned to realization. Oh, you mean me netting you? Well, I guess that is quite one of a kind. I am not going to be dangling from your wall, Tom retorted with a laugh, the two others joining in. What would I put you up there for? Much easier to bring you with to show off. Hey, Tom laughed, feigning insult, as he shook his head, looking back into the fire. But no, you are worth telling stories about. Says the only human in the world, Jackie chuckled sarcastically, uncorking her drinking horn and taking a draught before holding it over. Nah, I don't much like that spruce stuff. It's good for the body, else for the soul. Only because you refuse to eat your damn veggies. Hey, I like corn, Jackie replied with a laugh. Besides, an egg is nearly a vegetable too. That doesn't count, Tom chuckled, taking out his own water skin instead. You need to be educated in the merits of the glorious potato. They can make anything. Fra vodka till fritter.
God, you sound strange in your own tongue,
the Major added, before shaking his head a little.
It better be Jolena that shows up.
Why? Tom questioned, not sure where he was going with this.
Because I believe she might leave you alone if you do what she wants.
As opposed to stealing everything and then either wiping us off the map, or forcibly hiring the lot of us, Tom replied dryly.
Indeed. I just hope Victoria knows her as well as she thinks.
Couldn't we just, tell them no? You have the blessing of a unicorn, go away, Jackie added, sounding a bit dubious. I mean, do we though? Tom had to ask, looking to Jordan, who just shook his head.
No, you have a child blessed by a unicorn for a heretical act. Truly a conundrum from anyone more devoted to the faith.
Well, maybe the Inquisition won't know what to do with either then, Jackie added optimistically.
They certainly won't agree with themselves, Jordan admitted with a sigh. I believe you have two options when it comes to it. You can trust Helena, assuming she is indeed the one to come here, or you can hold her prisoner.
At that, Jackie just spat out her newest sip of spruce beer, most of Chloe's crew joining her in staring at the Major. You didn't just say that.
No, you can't put her in a cell, but you can impose demands. She wants what's in the vaults, and she will get it, but she needs you, he continued, pointing a clawed finger at Tom, staring him down. You are her key. Either you cooperate fully, or you make it known that you want something in return. I think you can name quite the steep price.
You want me to withhold knowledge from the Inquisition?
Don't lie to me, you were already planning on that option. The question is what? If you tell her you are doing so.
But can't she, plug things from your mind? Jackie asked, clearly skeptical.
Indeed, but not without making an enemy of you. And what use is a book you don't understand?
She can't get it because he speaks like he's strange in the head, Jackie asked bluntly. Tom looking at her, not quite sure what to make of that.
No, though it might help. She has access to a wealth of knowledge already, but she doesn't understand how to use it. At least if the investigator was to be believed.
So even if she can block it, she won't get everything?
And thus still needs you. Another inquisitor might just rip what they can out of you and call it a day, quite likely before executing you for being a threat. But I think she needs you, not only alive, but as a friend.
And you are telling me this now why?
Because you need to make one of your demands the secrecy of Genoa's gifts.
Because? Tom questioned leadingly, waiting for an answer.
Because the Church will want her, and they will take her by any means necessary.
And what means would those be?
Our Church is far from fangless, my friend. They are no standing army, but taking a small keep like this, even defended as it is, that's well within their grasp.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Tom let out, burying his head in his hands.
Unlike you people, though, the Inquisition is highly adept at keeping secrets.
So what else could I ask for? That they leave us mostly alone here?
Sounds reasonable. The investigators sounded like that was their original plan. Leave you to your work, likely provide you with what you need, and if you wish to stay as far away from any big city and the political turmoil within, all the better for Jelena and Genora.
Saf was lying in a nice, comfy sleeping bag, eyes closed and pretending to be sleeping. By the sounds of it, Fengi was sleeping soundly. She just thanked the gods she had been sleeping by the time Unkai had gotten there, because of course the guy had been too shy to wake her up, and she had some damn questions. She had let him fix her face up first, though, and she had slightly hoped Essie would leave, but after some time, it had become clear that wasn't happening. Some time to think hadn't hurt. That, and she wanted to make sure Fengi was in fact sleeping, unlike herself. So, little guy, mind telling us what's going on? Saf asked, and she heard the young guard give a little start as she spoke. Do you mean generally, or? He tried, clearly aimed to deflect the question. No, you know what I mean. You're scared of Fengi. No, I'm not. Stop insulting me. Why? Saf retorted, opening her eyes and turning her head to stare at him from the comfort of her sleeping bag. I'm not, he tried more fervently, receiving a shush and a stern glare from Essie for his troubles. She needs you, dude. She's more scared than you right now, Saf replied, turning his gaze to Essie, who was looking at Saf with a rather worried expression. Well, what am I supposed to do about it? Be there for her, both Saf and Essie replied in unison. He just looked ashamed, ears drooping and turning to look at the ground. How can that be so hard? You like her, right? Saf asked, voice wavering a little. She really hoped she was at least right on that one. How couldn't she be? She's a monster. I love a monster, he broke out, looking back up, switching his pleading gaze between the two of them. Don't you ever say that, Essie snapped, grabbing him by the snout. She might actually believe you. She already does to an extent, Saf added in, staring mournfully at the healer before shaking her head slightly. You can't let her hear it from you. Oh, come on, we've only been together for a little bit. Not like she would listen to me on most things anyway. No, but she considers you a good person, perhaps even a bit too good. Which is why she did find you a touch boring, Essie added frankly. In other words, if you tell her she's a monster, she will believe you, Saf clarified, trying her best to sound sincere. But I've seen what she can do. Hell, there was a rather big piece of evidence lying outside. So is Baron a monster too? Saf questioned, rhetorically. She's powerful, possibly extremely powerful, but she's still Fengi, isn't she? I have no idea, Unkai admitted, looking shamefully at the ground. Slap him, Saf commanded, looking to Essie, who diligently complied with a rather strong whap across his face. She damn near cried her heart out when the Major told her about some of the possible consequences. She's scared shitless of what she can do and what it means. For a minute, she even believed the only reason anyone liked her was because of her magic. Which is fucking oxshit, by the way. We checked. She is still Fengi. Hell, if you're smart, you'll use the fact she's going to be needing a little borrowing in her life. But what if she gets mad at me? She can make me do anything. She's Fengi. She's the sweetest girl anywhere around. What she might ever do is tell you to go away. But she can make me slip my own throat with just a single fit, he pleaded with them. Essie once again shushing, this time both of them. She would never do that, Saf tried, doing her best to sound angry in a hushed tone. My grandma did. Your what? Saf whisper shouted, tilting her head at him. Essie simply gaping at him. My grandma made my grandfather kill himself. Don't know why exactly. Family always claimed it was just some petty squabble. You said your grandpa committed suicide, Essie replied in a confused voice. Which is technically accurate, and she was quietly executed for it. Official story reads, suicide due to grief, he replied, looking devastated. They had been married for over 40 years, then, just like that, snap. But you can control magic, Saf tried. Why don't you use mine by accident? Well, she already has, he whispered, as if suddenly afraid Fengi might hear him now all of a sudden. And do you think she's happy about that? No, obviously, he relented, looking down at the floor. Then help her, please. You love her, so trust her. Not like she couldn't kill you before if she got mad enough, Essie added, looking very sad. No, but pretty hard to do it by accident, Unkai whined. Fucking coward, Saf just cursed to herself. You got a medal for trying to save people. Just get in there and give her a damn hug, Saf sighed. Unkai didn't respond, just giving them a low nod, before going over to Fengi's sleeping bag, slipping in, and cuddling up with some effort. Fengi let out a few low grunts before putting a smile in her sleep. Thanks, man. She needs you, Saf said, doing her best to put on a smile too before nodding to Essie. I'm going outside for a bit. Good idea. Leave them to it for a bit, the older Huntress replied, also getting up to open the tent zipper thing.